until further notice. This WWL Sports Update is brought to you by People's Health. As fall camp continues for the LSU Tigers, it's easy to see why there's such high expectations for this season. They're returning a lot, especially on offense. Quarterback Jaden Daniels is back, leading receiver Malik Neighbors is back, almost their entire starting offensive line is back, but head coach Brian Kelly also added to the Tigers' arsenal in the offseason. Alabama transfer wide receiver Aaron Anderson, a former five-star recruit out of New Orleans, could make an instant impact in his first year with the purple and gold, but another player to watch will be Notre Dame running back transfer Logan Diggs, who Kelly praised during camp.
He's very smooth, he's physical, he's got a great burst, and his ability to stay on the field on all three downs. He knows protections, he can catch the ball coming out of the backfield. So, I know him really well, and he looked good, he felt good, and he just adds to the depth of that room, which is going to be as complete and as deep as any running back room that I've ever coached.
Diggs ran for 820 yards on 5 yards per carry last season. Coach Kelly said he dealt with a hamstring injury in the spring when he was still with Notre Dame, and the biggest question mark entering fall camp was his health. But, as he said, Diggs looks good at practice, and he projects to step up as one of the leaders in an excellent Tiger running back room this season. Charlie Long, WWL Sports.
Now, your Garcia Roofing forecast on WWL.
Test. How's it sound?
The relentless heat
Sound good?
Okay.
Michelle, you want?
Sunshine today, very hot. With high temperatures back to
How's
the
low? Here, I'll turn it up.
Feels like temperatures can get close to 115 in a few spots this afternoon. So we do have that excessive heat warning today. Most of us will stay dry. There might be a stray shower or storm this afternoon. Very select few of us will get
I'm turning up a little bit.
The new work week still going to be really hot. Each day, high
is this
temperatures
okay?
will be in the
Not
upper
too loud,
90s.
too low.
It's a little loud.
Some
Here,
middle
let me-
90s if we're also lucky on that front, but not really much of a change. Still going to be scorching hot for days to come. Lots of sunshine on the way this week, but there is a chance each afternoon for a few hit or miss showers and storms, though overall, not much rain in the forecast over the next week. From your local weather expert forecast center, I'm WWL TV meteorologist Alexa Frischler.
I'm Chris Miller, WWL First News. From WWL, the news, talk, sports powerhouse of the Gulf South, it's all things legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nico. Underwritten by Nico and Sunseri Law Firm. Join us on the Oakland Art Jewelers Talk and Text line.
I thought it was all too.
Or connect anytime, anywhere on the Odyssey app. Now, to our Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union Studios in the heart of New Orleans, here are attorneys Albert Nico and Doug Sunseri.
Hey, good morning, Doug Sunseri, Michelle Demarest Sunseri, all things legal. Just call 260-1870 or text us to Oakland Heart Talk and Text line at 260-1870. And subbing for Albert is my wife, Michelle Demarest Sunseri. Thank you for responding to the nudge on my elbow.
It was a little early, but thanks for having me.
Early. Yes, Albert's taking the week off, and next week we're off because the Saints are playing Kansas City at noon, first preseason game, which is sort of interesting in the sense that usually the preseason games don't play Sunday at 12 o'clock. They usually play on Friday nights, Thursday nights.
Why are they playing on Sunday?
National championship game. So they're going to there'll be a nationally televised game against the Super Bowl champions Kansas City Chiefs. And all the players who played in the Super Bowl for Kansas City probably won't be playing in this game.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it starts. It's like you're right before football season when you turn on ESPN and they got mixed doubles pickleball, cornhole, lacrosse.
Yeah, it's been dry.
Oh, it's been dry. So I think we're all getting ready. Now, we like waking up on Saturday mornings and watching game day.
Right.
That's sort of our thing. And Marty and McGee.
Right. Your friends.
My friends, yes. They just don't know.
They just don't know they're your friends.
That's right. They just don't know I'm friends with them. So it's coming. In fact, it's 28 days to kick off for LSU.
Did I see like August 26th? What's August 26th?
August 26th is the start of SEC football, which is in 3 weeks.
Who's playing that day?
I think it's probably warm-up games because a lot of teams, before they play their opening game, they'll play a FCS or a division or a in-state school that's small, just to sort of
Get warmed up.
for the for the real opening day. Like in 2019, the week before LSU played Texas, we played Georgia State. That was in August in Tiger Stadium, which was somewhat warm. So
Yeah, I would imagine it's very warm.
but really the big games start in 4 weeks. And LSU plays Florida State in Orlando. We're not going to
We're
go.
not going.
We're not. We would normally go, but we were sort of burnt out on Orlando.
Very.
And I think we retired our Mickey years.
We did. Not
Think
that we
we-
ever had them.
Not that we ever had them. So no, we went to Orlando for about 8 years straight
Yeah, for volleyball.
for the volleyball national championship. So we're going to pass on Orlando.
We are.
But the following year,
We're going to Vegas.
yeah, LSU opens up with USC in Las Vegas. So I'm thinking we ought to go about 3 weeks early just to get prepared, just to sort of, so we won't miss the game and you sort of get a little game preparation. But could you imagine like 35,000 Cajuns in Las Vegas?
I think we're gonna live it.
Yes, we are. I mean, Las Vegas will never be the same.
Yeah, you are.
So they have that, and the Saints start 35 days without Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, I saw that. I was listening to that this morning.
Everything that happened, I predicted that happened 2 years ago happened.
Yeah. Is he out like 3 games?
He's out 3 games. Well, first of all, I thought what they would do was effectuate a civil settlement and get reduced charges to a misdemeanor, which I thought we talked about a year and a half ago, which they did. And then when he was able to plead to the charges, then he could express contrition to the commissioner, because he couldn't do that before because that would be incriminating.
Right.
And then, which he did, and the commissioner did 3 games. I thought it'd be between 2 and 4 games. So the Saints open up against the Tennessee Titans, and then they play.
Does it
Okay.
include preseason games?
No, he can practice. But they have, let's
So
see.
the games are season games that can't count against the preseason game?
No, because preseason games,
I know, I
Don't.
was just curious.
it's like when
That would kind of be like a loophole.
right. It's like when Coach O, in order to mitigate his LSU punishment for recruiting violations, has stated that he wouldn't go to a bowl game the year after the national championship when they were 5-5, or so it really was not a real.
Right.
It wouldn't be much of a punishment. So he won't play. Now Tennessee is the 3 games he's missing. Well, the interesting thing about the Saints this year, they're capable of winning any game, and they're capable of losing any game. There's no game on the schedule where you're saying this is a sure win,
Right.
and there's no game on the schedule where you say it's a sure loss.
How's the new quarterback doing?
I think he's doing okay. I think he's learning. He's in the prime of his career. He needed a career change. A change of scenery.
Mm-hmm.
He was with the Oakland Raiders. He's a good man, good fellow, good teammate. He went through 6 coaches.
Are they kind of hoping he's going to be like Drew, like come here and just have like
No,
a kickoff?
If I would compare it to this, I don't know. In 1994, after Wade Wilson, they had Bobby Hebert. He went to the Falcons, and we had Wade Wilson for a year. And Wade Wilson didn't work out. We brought in Jim Everett. Jim Everett was in his 9th, 10th year after pretty good success with the LA Rams at the time. And he came in, and he was 7-9, 7-9. Now, he actually didn't do too bad, but he didn't do too bad. But the rest of the team was on the Jim Moore slide. They were sort of on their downward trend, and I would compare Derek Carr to Jim Everett when he came here, which was a little above average quarterback, not a great quarterback. So basically what they're going to ask him to do is to manage the game, don't lose the game, and just play well. He's not going to be Drew. which I thought was when Drew was playing. I said, this is a once in a lifetime quarterback.
Right.
We'll never have another quarterback like Drew. The Miami Dolphins have been trying to replace Dan Marino since the late 80s, early 90s. So it's going to be. They just want to ask him to be good and let the rest of the team sort of carry more of a balanced attack. He's not going to put the team on his shoulders.
Right.
Now, one of the things the Saints are going to do is different from Sean Payton. They're probably going to look more like the Tennessee Titans did in the last 4 years.
And what does that mean?
Good defense, run heavy, and ball control, which is a little opposite, total opposite, a lot different than Sean Payton. Sean Payton was passing, running, defense. I don't want to say it was secondary, but when it was draft time or it was an emphasis, it's going to be on offense. So he has a little more traditional ground and pound type of offense, which has evolved over the last 2 years. In fairness to Coach Allen, when he took over the team, they were built for Sean Payton team, and now he's got 2 years to make it in his own image. Now, this is probably his year to determine whether he can coach in the NFL. And I think there's a lot of question marks. We all hope he can, and we're all optimistic that he can. But there's no history to indicate that whether he will be successful or not. So this will be the year to determine whether he's an NFL coach.
His make or break year.
Right. It's interesting in the NFL, the skill set to be a good coach, position coach, may not be the skill set to be a good coordinator. The skill set to be a good coordinator may not be the skill set to be a head coach.
Right.
And the question is he going to adapt to that? And you have to be yourself. You have to have your own style, but your responsibilities are different in the way you communicate with players and game management. So we'll see. We hope he does. That's a question you have regarding most assistant coaches who become head coaches, but Coach Payton was an assistant coach with the Dallas Cowboys and with Bill Parcells, but one of our clients were coaching on the staff at the time.
Right.
And when Payton was there, he said, this guy's something else. He's going to be a head coach. In fact, Coach Payton did get an offer. Now, you're talking about Dennis Allen once coached the Oakland Raiders, and he had a couple of difficult years, was fired. In 2004, the year before Coach Payton took the Saints job, he was offered the Oakland Raiders job. And the Oakland Raiders was and still is a very dysfunctional organization. It's been through a lot of turmoil since Al Davis. Since about 2000, Al Davis started having probably some cognitive issues, and he passed, and his son owns the team. And Coach Parcells said, don't take that job. It's a bad job. Just wait for the right job. Then Coach Payton wanted the Green Bay Packers job. They hired Mike McCarthy, who was the Saints offensive coordinator under Jim Haslett, and then the Saints was the second job that he took. So that was the progression of that. So we'll see. The interesting thing about the Saints is the over/under, I believe, is 8.5 games, which means puts them right at 500. So, do you know what the over/under is? Which means now if they win 9, that might win the division. And then when they play the Saints, the first 3 games they play the Titans, the Panthers, and who else they play, Colin? Packers, that's right. And all 3 of those teams are in transition. The Titans quarterback position is sort of in transition. The Panthers have Alabama quarterback Young, and he may be good, but rookie quarterbacks generally don't win their first game, and they usually have a bumpy first year as far as transition is concerned. And the Packers don't have Aaron Rodgers; they have Jordan Love. And I don't know that Jordan Love's an NFL quarterback. I think he may be a backup, and he's replacing Aaron
Yeah, I know.
Rodgers.
Was he the backup with Aaron Rodgers?
For the last 3 years. He actually played against LSU in the 2019 year when they won national championship. And we were actually at a volleyball tournament. We didn't watch that game. We were at Woodlawn. But
What year?
me a senior year.
Oh, okay.
So that was we didn't go to that game. And LSU's defense pretty much ate him up pretty well, on that. And he was playing for Utah State. So I mean, we don't know. We just don't know what kind of play. So if there's 3 games that he misses, I guess those are the best 3 games. Also, too, for a guy like a running back who's in his 7th year, it's not terribly bad that they sit out 3 games in the sense that he's going to be preserved because they really get beat up now.
Right.
And they have to really limit his touches during the season because the running backs just get too beat up now and they want to, they don't run it. So there it is. But no more cornhole. What do you call it when you throw the beanbags? Cornhole. No more pickleball on ESPN.
You know, pickleball is the fastest growing sport.
Okay, let's go into this. We'll probably talk about this later. There's a lot of gray-haired divorces now, for whatever reason.
Okay.
And also people are living longer. And there's a lot more of a single scene for your 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Okay.
I
agree, I guess. I think it's more 60s, 70s, and 80s.
60s, 70s, 80s. But if you're single, the word is you can sort of meet a lot of other singles playing pickleball.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because it's sort of like a good meeting place.
Mm-hmm. And it keeps you healthy.
Keeps you healthy, right. So, pickleball, all you single ladies and single men out there who, chances are, if you listen to the show, you're going to be in your 40s, 50s, or 60s.
I think you're 50s, 60s, or
70s. So if you're uncomfortable with going on the
on dating apps,
you go play pickleball.
Yeah, they're supposed to be taking old shopping centers and old commercial buildings that can't do anything with and turning them into pickleball courts.
Yeah, Drew Brees I think they had a WWL just covered a pickleball tournament for Drew Brees in the convention center.
Listen, by my office, they're out there all day. In the heat of the day, it's 102 degrees.
Right.
And they are playing all day long.
Well, they had, right. On our North Shore office, we saw to face the lake. We faced the lake. We're about, half mile from 3 blocks from the lake. 2 blocks.
Yeah.
Between the lake and the back of our office, we have a little balcony to go on. Mm-hmm. Theoretically, we go on. And there's
my window looks over the bridge and the pickleball court.
Right. So there's pickleball. Oh, well, there were tennis courts. Mm-hmm. And they were abandoned. Nobody played tennis there while we were there for the last 4 years. Yeah. And now you hear ping, 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 ping all day long. And you'll see at least 32 people just playing.
Oh, it's packed.
It's a bunch of singles too.
I'm just wondering whether or not it works.
No, I know it's you can hear them.
I know, and it's all day long. I'm not complaining.
Right. It's sort of a sport if you're retired. It's a good activity because tennis is tough on your knees.
Tennis is very tough.
And
I've never really watched it, so I don't really understand.
It's like ping pong.
Is it with the ping pong ball? Is it like a?
It's like with you ever play baseball with the plastic ball?
Yeah,
like a
wiffle ball.
Yeah, it's like one of those, not a wiffle ball, but if it was enclosed. So it's like a large ping pong ball.
So does it bounce on the ground like a tennis?
It can bounce. So it's like ping pong tennis.
Interesting. Yeah.
That's going to be obliterated from ESPN in September when you'll have football games every night. Praise God.
I'm sure it'll be on some channel.
Praise God. No. So
And the soccer got over with today.
yeah, the women's lost. They lost in a penalty kick.
Against Sweden. Huh?
Against Sweden, it was abject disappointment for the USA. I think they ought to.
I heard somebody say that they were more into fashion and activism.
I think if they would have concentrated more on soccer and less than being political activists, they would have probably might have had a different result. So,
But good luck for Sweden.
good. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Okay, we got one more text. Do you think Alvin Kamara will have a good year if this, or
No. Do you think if Alvin Kamara does not have a good year, the Saints will trade him?
this might be his last year because his cap number is going to be too high next year unless he takes a big pay cut. Running backs have a short lifespan. I'll tell you an interesting story about Ricky Williams.
He also wants to know how they're going to utilize Taysom Hill.
Hopefully a lot. I don't know. They I don't think they did a very good job last year.
Are they using him?
Yeah, I think he's the wild card that you can't game plan for him, and that's what makes the Saints offense different this year. I hope they use him as creatively as possible and often as possible. Yeah. So I'll tell you what. Let's take a break. Doug Sunseri, Michelle Demarest Sunseri, All Things Legal. We'll be right back after this brief timeout. There you go.
Good job, Colin.
Who's that?
We got 2 callers to come back with when we get back from the break.
Okay. Oh no. Yeah.
The Big 870 AM and 105.3 FM. Always live on the free Odyssey app. WWL is
All right, we're starting with Alan from Missouri who bought a house 10 years ago. And now his commercial insurance is trying to charge him a property insurance premium or something like that. He doesn't know what's causing it or where it's coming from.
Okay, Alan. Where's he from?
Deliver the latest news
Battery.
and videos.
What's a property insurance premium?
Parish Disposal.
And then we got Joey calling from New Orleans who's got a question regarding taxes.
Taxes?
Here. Woman soccer is on the world stage, and there's no better place to get in on the action than
Can you turn
FanDuel,
it down?
America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/ABear to join today.
It's too loud. Where?
ERG. So don't miss your chance to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/ABear to sign up. That's HEBERG. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official partner of WWL Radio.
21 plus and present in Louisiana. Permitted parishes only. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bet to expire in 7 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP. Voila! You've fallen in love. Now, Mon ami, it's time to go diamond hunting. The first thing you're going to be introduced to is the Four Seasons.
It said property insurance. I wasn't sure.
He said property insurance premium.
He said homeowner's insurance, but he also said like property insurance.
Okay.
I think that's the same thing.
Master craftsmen help you design a ring that is truly one of a kind. Play.
Regardless, it's like a random premium that appears that hasn't been there for the last 15 years.
Oh, it's a different amount too.
Yeah, it's a premium. It's like different than what you normally pay. I think it's actually separate than what you normally pay.
Wow. So repeat after me. Les Pep at Benoit. Customization, craftsmanship, conscience, and cost. The 4 C's reimagined. There's a great work of art in every box of Oakland Heart on Metairie Road.
Is your Hurricane Ida insurance claim unresolved, underpaid, denied, or stuck in neutral with a public adjuster? Did your Hurricane Ida insurance
How much
company
better
go
that sounds
bankrupt?
when you're in
If so, you must
studio.
file a lawsuit before August 29, 2023, or your Hurricane Ida insurance claim will expire or go away.
Alright, this is a doozy. I got a text message today that we're going to see you call. Sorry, ready?
Yeah.
Firm in Metairie and Mandeville.
contract for each question, I think it is window installation contract signed in February 2023 with a big box store to replace the entire home. We are in August, and their installers have yet to finish the job. The windows installed are not correct size. We have windows sitting on our front porch that are the wrong size. They have to reorder. They have yet to reorder any windows. We go back and forth, but no one's helping us. Contract was signed by wife and not me, so I am bound by the arbitration clause. So am I bound by the arbitration clause, or can I sue them for the contract? Do not have normal use of our homes. I feel like they're stuck. What are our options?
Ooh, jeez. Okay.
Atrophy.
I see it.
GA.
Yeah. The text messages are kind of out of order. It goes.
Yeah, I see it.
I
I see
can
it.
bring it out, but it goes 1, 2, 4, then 3.
I see it. I see
To
it.
give you an idea. It took me like 3 times to read it, figure that out.
Blurry or missing
We're
spots.
back in about 20 seconds.
See loved ones' faces. Many
Have some Brad Paisley coming up.
like.
There you go.
I don't know what, I mean, you'd have to ask him what the line
If
item
you've been
is.
diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at gawon'twait.com. That's gawon'twait.com.
You know, they could be,
All things legal with
when they
Justin
increased
Siri and
ours,
Albert
we
Nico
had
on
another line
WWL
item
and Odyssey Station.
until it
Now
caught
on
up.
the Oakwood Heart Jewelers Talking Text Line,
Yeah, that's what it is.
Remember, I
504-260-1870.
had to call them and they said it increased.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Michelle Demarest Sunseri, all things legal. Okay, a man calling back at the studio, our engineer, producer, director, keeps us straight. He always asks what kind of music we want.
Mm-hmm.
And so since you're on, you were getting country.
Thank you. I know, he's doing a good job.
Doing a good job. Thanks, Colin. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to Alan in Metairie. Metairie, it's the home of the West Esplanade Canal, where I live adjacent to. Hey, Alan, what you have, brother?
Yes, I bought a house 10, 15 years ago as a bank repo.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, now my new property insurance company wants to charge me a premium for asbestos signing as some sort of hazard. When I bought the house, this was never disclosed. Is the bank that sold it to me liable for this environmental hazard?
They want to send you. They want to provide you coverage for asbestos.
I mean, that's his
They
premium.
want to charge me an extra premium on my property insurance because they're saying that if there was a storm that blew the siding off, that there would be asbestos all over. I guess they'd have to clean it up.
Well,
Now, they've never proven to me any kind of proof that it is asbestos or not, but if it is, I'd like to know is the bank that sold it to me liable for this hazard?
no. Well, the second question is no.
No.
That's you probably bought it as is, where it is, especially if it's a bank repo. So the bank's not liable for it. Is this a private insurance? Is this a private insurance company or is this Citizens?
Part of it's private and part of it's citizen.
Okay, Citizens is your liability carrier, probably, or your it's probably your property insurance. Which company is trying to charge you this extra premium? Is it Citizens or the other company that has part of your insurance?
There was an agent that was, so I'm not quite sure. The agent was telling me that it would be a.
Well, if your agent's independent, ask them to shop it around and see if there's another insurance company that will write the policy without that premium if you don't want to pay for it.
Are they doing it because of the age of the building and assuming it has asbestos?
Well, it could be just that particular insurance company that's requiring that. But do you have a mortgage on it, on the property?
Yes.
I would shop your insurance. I mean, if it's something that if you want to be protected by, you I guess you get the coverage. But if you don't want to pay for that particular premium, I would shop your insurance. But the unfortunate part is the market's pretty limited right now.
Now, if I sold the house, would I be liable?
No, I mean, you'd sell it as is, and if you don't have any, you have to fill out a property disclosure, and I mean, if you don't have any knowledge of that issue, or you shouldn't have, or it's known or should have known, most people have the right to, you sell it as is, and they can conduct their inspections. And
I thought the environmental hazard was cradle to grave.
no, well, not against the bank, not against the seller. Sometimes there's these products liability possibilities for certain. You hit the Chinese drywall and something like that, but that would be different. But not for anybody, not for the bank or anyone in the transaction if they didn't know about it or should have known about it and didn't disclose it. But again, it's an as-is sale. So but you do have to fill out a property disclosure, and if you hadn't had any independent knowledge, I'd assume that the insurance company is putting this rider on there based on the age of the home. I don't know if it's anything specific that would cause them to do that. That's specific to your home, but it's sort of a standard underwriting provision. And if you don't want to pay for it, ask your agent if they'll take it out. Because a lot of times, in some policies, you have some flexibility. I mean, there's some policies where you can just get, building coverage, dwelling coverage, and not get contents coverage, and not get additional living loss of use. So there's just various type policies. I would ask your agent to, maybe shop it around. There's not a lot of choices, but find one without that, if that's not your concern.
Yeah, well, I don't know for sure if it is asbestos, but it's probably because of the age.
Yeah. They might have had a blanket underwriting guideline stating that houses older than X in this area, we're going to mandate this premium or offer this premium, or this coverage. But yeah, that's the first I've heard of.
Yeah, so for me, the repo, they didn't do any kind of property disclosure.
They don't have to. It's a repo. It's as is where it is. Duties on the buyer. They get to inspect it. They don't want to buy it. They don't buy it. It's as is where it is. They'll never have any warranties on a bank repo.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Sometimes we don't give always good news.
No.
Thanks for the call. Let's go to Joey. Joey's got a question for New Orleans. He's got a question regarding taxes. Well, we might be able to answer this, maybe not. We'll see. What you got for us, Joey?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
I live in New Orleans, and I actually love New Orleans, to be honest with you. The food and all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
But the one aspect that myself and probably 85% of New Orleans feels is about these assessors. This Errol guy, I guess he's over.
Errol Williams, yes.
Errol Williams. My question is it legal for those characters to go up on those taxes like they do pretty much every year? And I know that the answer that you're going to say is you have to contest it and bring pictures. If they're going to say that, well, the reason why it went up is because everything in the country is going up, is that legal for them to continue to raise those percentages that high? Because how can you fight it? I mean, somebody's 80 years old, 60, 70. They know that no one is going to take the time to take 1,000 pictures. So what do you do about that?
Well, now I don't know this. We've got a real estate agent who's listening, and they could give us clarification and text us. I think it's frozen. Your assessments are frozen at a certain age. If I'm not mistaken.
It is. I was just grouping.
Okay,
You're right.
So I think what you have is we had 7 assessors before, and that was highly political. And 15, 20 years ago, they had news stories of high profile people whose house tripled in value and their assessment never changed. And then they decided to consolidate, and it was a waste of duplication of resources, and it was pretty much done for political purposes. Now you just have one New Orleans is the tax money they do get is squandered away by horrible mismanagement. So they're always in a deficit. And so there's probably a little bit more emphasis now on reassessing properties and getting more tax money in. So is it legal? As long as the assessment's based on sound economic and real estate principles, with an appraiser who's qualified to reassess your property based on the value of the surrounding properties and recent transactions. So you can't willy-nilly raise the assessments. You have to have a factual economic basis for doing that. And they do have due process to contest your assessment, and you also have to bring facts to it. And Michelle, you got some clarification on that.
No, it's just the age of 65.
Age of 65, your assessment's frozen. So, the problem was the assessments were not addressed for years and years in order for the assessors to remain in good standing with the 7 assessors with their constituents. And so if you were in a politically favorable situation, they may, or maybe, I don't want to get into it, but they favored constituents, I would put it that way, would not have their property assessment raised. All right. And so that was a problem in New Orleans. So part of consolidating all the assessors is to alleviate that issue. And so it was sort of a shock to people who never were used to not having any assessment raised to having it raised. Now, if you have it raised, you do have to have an economic basis for it. Now, a lot of times when you have hurricane damaged property that hadn't been fixed, there have been a lot of disputes with that. But there's not a lot of, they have to base it on, sound economic and market principles. And if you have to contest it, you have to contest it based on sound economic and market principles, with an appraiser yourself. So, yeah, I mean, they have due process, but it is sort of a shock when they do raise it. Joey, thanks for the call. We got to go to a break. Doug Sunseri, Michelle Demarest Sunseri, All Things Legal. We'll be right back after this brief timeout.
I think you have to have a certain income, lower than a certain income, too.
Yeah.
Like, we won't get ours.
Let's see.
WWL, home of your New Orleans Saints. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Is that sound? You want to check the
Monday morning on WWL.
No, I think it was my phone, I think.
With Eric Smith from Tulane, and of course we'll take a look at the week ahead on Wall Street. Monday morning markets with Mark Rosa, President and CEO of Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union at 7:45. Join me, Tommy Tucker.
We got about 3 minutes.
More always live, local and original, 6 till 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on WWLAMFM.com and the Odyssey app.
As an educator, Mr. Nelson's teachings are still being quoted in school.
Education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world.
Mr. Nelson taught hope.
Everyone can rise above their circumstances if they are dedicated and passionate.
And giving our best effort.
It's always impossible until it's done.
Mr. Nelson Mandela's teachings not only united a nation, they inspire us today. Inspirational. Pass it on from passion.com.
You've heard it said, he's a diamond in the rough. Or maybe, diamonds are forever. Here's something else.
Hey, out.
They're just pieces of coal put under pressure for a long, long, long time. So when I start feeling like I want to give up, I think about that little piece of coal. And if that piece of coal can make something of itself by not giving up, so can I. Persistence is in you. PassItOn.com.
Summers in the Gulf South. Why spend it painting year after year? Do what your neighbor Charmaine did. She called Rhino Shield.
So my house was built in 2001. It's actually got some hardy board siding. It was obvious it needed to be repainted. I had seen an ad for Rhino Shield, and it just sounded like exactly what I wanted.
Rhino Shield's a ceramic coating formulated for our specific climate.
Rhino Shield crew, they were able to come out much sooner than I expected, which was a pleasant surprise. Worked efficiently. It wasn't anything I had to worry say about my neighbors or the HOA having a problem with, and I've got a beautiful product to show for it.
Your transferable warranty. Sounds like
Okay, we did get another caller, but I don't know if we the type of one.
It's between my
Who is it?
Sydney calling from Metairie. Sydney's the mail. So you didn't get we took us.
Yeah.
Whatever. They asked. They're a previously convicted felon. They're asking about the 10-year clemency period for owning a buyer.
Oh, I don't know that.
Yeah.
Tell them I don't know.
Okay. I wanted to take your info and the
Yeah,
opportunity.
yeah, just tell.
I'll get back on it.
Yeah, I know.
Question?
The 10-year firearm to get a gun.
Real estate loans, we make real connections. Discover the difference face to face.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, just tell them.
Commercial real estate loan at one of our 9 convenient locations, or go to MetaireeBank.com. We connect with you. Member FDIC, equalizing lender.
The home is where the heart is. A roof is its shield. That's why for nearly 30 years, homeowners have trusted Garcia Roofing. For more information, visit GarciaDidMyRoof.com.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-514-1020. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call.
All right, back at about 20. I'm going to go a little old school with some 70s text.
Text-Mex.
On the IRS alone, they can attach
Don't worry.
savings, pension,
It'll remind you of your
Social Security check. Call 800-514-1026 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-514-1026.
All things legal on WWL. Consult with Nico and Sunseri now.
Are you guys familiar?
Yeah, who is that? Freddie Fender?
524-26-70. And don't forget to rewind on the Odyssey app.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Michelle Demarest Sunseri, all things legal. Freddie Fender.
I can't believe you pulled that. You pulled that out of like the recesses of your brain.
Yeah, I think 1977 is my guess. I was 15 years old.
You mean we could have been doing country music on the boat when you were doing Name That Tune?
A little bit. Not much. I'm not big on country music. I was 15 years old. At 15, I'd been driving already for 4 years. You think I'm kidding?
I know you're not. That's what's scary.
So, yes. Wasn't he blind?
I have no idea.
Oh, I don't know. I
Don't
saw
look at
him.
me. I don't know. I'd have to get on my phone.
Anybody who's on the Midnight Special, I know.
Oh, who's on the Midnight Special?
No, yeah, they're all on the Midnight Special.
Did that come on midnight?
They came on Friday nights at midnight.
How old were you?
Oh, probably from the time I was about 11 to when I went. My parents.
You were up at midnight when you were 11?
Oh yeah. I used to watch Johnny Carson when I was at St. Angela. I wouldn't go to bed until after Johnny Carson.
We had an 8 o'clock bedtime.
And I was a little tired when I woke up, and then I had.
How did you even get through grammar school?
We walked.
Not how did you get there? How did you get through it?
I didn't. I didn't. I struggled. No, I'm not struggled. I was bored. But no. And I used to have for breakfast. I told you that I used to have Tony Tiger, frosted flakes, condensed milk, bananas, and about 4 tablespoons of sugar.
I'm sure you were probably like in a sugar coma.
Probably so. Oh my gosh. And then we'd have lunch with bologna and butter, and a pear. Yeah. Well, I eat somewhat clean now. So anyway, somewhat clean. All right, we're in a law show here, huh? We got a few minutes. Oh, okay, we got a few minutes, and we'll talk family law in the next hour because that's your sort of your wheelhouse here. Family laws and successions. But Hurricane Katrina, I'm saying Katrina. I am
You've
having
been saying
flashbacks.
You've been saying that for the last year and a half.
Hurricane Ida. I'm still having flashbacks. If you have an unresolved Hurricane Ida claim, you have to file a lawsuit, or your claim goes away. If you have an appraisal that hadn't been paid, if you don't file a lawsuit, they would not have any obligation to pay that appraisal award. If you have recoverable depreciation or any of those issues, you have to file a lawsuit. Now, I did see something that came across just recently and saying, I have an agreement. The insurance company has an agreement with my contractor to pay him. If they hadn't paid the contractor before August 29th, you're taking a chance by not filing a lawsuit. And I'm not telling you that I'm just telling you to protect yourself.
Right.
Because there's not an obligation to do that. If there's an agreement and it's tight enough, it might be enforceable, it might not. But, it's just something you don't want to take a chance with. So also too, the insurance companies know there's usually some money left on the table in connection with it. And I would say, whoever you would hire, most firms, we do it. Most of them say, they'll take your case if you don't prevail. There's no obligation, no cost. And if there's some costs incurred, the lawyer would I guess eat the cost, lack of a better word. But if you're in any of those situations, you're waiting on your recoverable depreciation, which a lot of times if you have a contents claim,
right,
that's an issue. If you still have some items that have not been paid, if your contractor is not finished, or you're just starting your renovation because contractors and finding good help has been hard to do, you have to file a lawsuit before August 29th, or your case goes away,
right,
or your claim goes away. So, in fact, that's what.
And don't wait till the 28th.
No, we're clearing the decks right now, anticipating that we'd probably get a few last minute stragglers, but it's this is really a drop dead date, and it's if you don't do it, even if the claims adjuster makes an oral promise that they'll take care of it, they may have that intention to do that, but if they switch adjusters and they say nope, we're not going to do that. Plus, even if they do, you're in that situation, you lose all your leverage because your leverage is going to litigation. And we've done probably, I'd say, a couple of hundred hurricane mediations in the last 2 years.
Right.
And, when you have that leverage of court enforcement mechanism, the law, you go before a special master, basically reports to a judge. You seem to get a lot more of a equitable offer than maybe you received before. Now, I'm not saying there's a lot of, we don't get the claims that the claims adjusters do a good job with.
Right.
So I want to preface it with that. We get the ones that the problem child's.
Right.
So just again, August 29th date, we're not going to be on next week to remind you. But if you have an unresolved claim, you probably need to do something about it this week. Because next week it might be too late because you might not be able to find an attorney to take it. So there you go. All right, let's go to a break. Doug Sunseri, Michelle Demarest Sunseri, All Things Legal. We'll be right back after this brief timeout. No, that's old. Who is that?
LSU Fighting Tigers. Always live on
Now, the other extent of my knowledge of country music is Hee Haw. Buck Williams and Roy Clark. Conway Twitty.
Smarter bets start. Conway Twitty, I can get down. Download the BetQL app.
I like, is it Toby Keith? I liked him.
WWL is proudly sponsored by Dudley DeBosier, official injury lawyers of the New Orleans
Albert
Saints.
goes nuts.
We're going to be a little up against the clock. We'll have about a minute.
Yeah, we'll just get in and out.
Rick, he's kind of spacey today. That's Rick sit down. We do have a caller that will take at the start of the next hour or sometime around them. We've got Leon calling from the North Shore. who is looking for a myriad of reasons, break a lease that he's got on the parlay.
So much better.
Oh, to break a lease. Okay.
Rick doesn't want the boss to get suspicious, so Scott's here in case the boss.
And he listed like 50 different reasons, and like some of them are, nitpicky, and some of them are like, yeah, you absolutely should try to leave.
You never know who you'll run into at Diamonds Direct. With unbeatable direct importer prices, the highest quality diamonds, the most sought-after designer rings, the best customer service, the strongest guarantees in the industry. It's just a no-brainer.
You think if Scott had a mustache?
I'm gonna tell a Ricky Williams story to start, and then we'll go to him. It'll only take about 3 minutes.
Your love, our
I
passion.
think next
Well,
hour.
what if I shave? Still no.
Yeah, I told him already that we might have to get to the hour and have to hit him up around.
Yeah. The next one will do.
Yeah, and then I can get on during our break and tell him if we're gonna go to him immediately or if we're gonna like dance.
Yeah, we're just about 3 minutes.
Get ready, Greater New Orleans area.
I got a text.
Southern Gun and Knife Show is coming for days only at the Alario Center in West Rigo. Today's the final day. Show hours 10 to 5. Hundreds of dealers' tables available, full of guns, knives, ammunition, holsters, gun books, camouflage, jewelry, and related items. Hunters and collectors, this big show's for you. Buy, sell, trade, or just spend the day browsing. Ladies are especially welcome. Admission is just $10 for adults, $2 for kids ages 6 to 11. Sorry, anyone under the age of 18.
I'll mention something.
Got guns to sell? Be sure they're unloaded and bring it to the show. Thousands of buyers will be there. Instant background checks available for gun purchases. The Great Southern Gun and Knife Show at the Alario Center in West Rigo. 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. today only. Exercise your right to keep and bear arms. While you're there, be sure to register for the door prize. See you this weekend. Sure as shooting. Don't miss it.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together millions of things for our planet. Improve your gas mileage by properly inflating tires and taking your car in for a tune-up. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
As an educator, Mr. Nelson's teachings are still being quoted in school.
Education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world.
Mr. Nelson taught hope
Everyone can rise above their circumstances if they are dedicated and passionate.
and giving our best effort.
It's always impossible
Yeah, what time?
until it's done.
Mr. Nelson Mandela's teachings not only united us.
We're gonna have like we're gonna have to, this is gonna be fun. I'm gonna count you down.
Okay.
So you have enough time to actually get out.
Okay.
So no music, no rejoin. Like the
Okay.
commercial is going to end, and the
Right.
is gonna go to you.
Gotcha.
For a long time. So when I start feeling like I want to give up, I think about that little piece of coal. And if that can make something of itself by not giving up, so can I. Persistence is key. From PassItOn.com.
The second half of the baseball season is here, and each game means a little.
Yeah, to be precise, you'll have around 45 seconds.
Okay.
Card chases, with each pitch bringing us closer to the playoffs. The free Odyssey app lets you listen to live play-by-play of your local team. So, no matter what you're up to, you'll never have to miss another game. Download the free Odyssey app today and keep baseball
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Odyssey.
All right, we ran long. Doug Sunseri, Michelle Demarest Sunseri, all things legal. We're going to stay tuned for national news, local news. We'll be back in about 10 minutes, all things legal. So we'll be there for hour number 2.
Don't stop talking. You leave me like 30 seconds.
Okay. Colin said we need to talk a little more.
30 seconds.
30 seconds, he's too much. So we'll also talk family law, and I'll also tell my Ricky Williams story about the contract negotiation.
Okay, sounds good.
So that's good. All right, Colin. Got you. All right, brother. We'll see you in about 10 minutes.
That was too good.
Too good.
So look at the clock. Our hard out should be 59:50, and you guys both stopped talking at around 59:06. It would have
gotcha.
like 45 seconds of just music.
Gotcha.
This isn't bad if that's not heard.
That's all right. We're good.
I'm Wendy Gillette in New York. There's a new CBS News poll about how voters view the recent indictment against former President Donald Trump. CBS Deputy Director of Elections and Surveys, Jennifer DePinto.
Half the nation believes Donald Trump tried to stay in office beyond his term through illegal and unconstitutional means. And to most Americans, 54% of them, such an effort would mean undermining democracy. Most Americans, and Democrats in particular, see the series of indictments against Donald Trump as defending democracy and upholding the rule of law.
A teen is charged in the killing of dancer O'Shea Sibley in New York. Lee Soldier Simmons is with the NYC Center for Black Pride.
Constantly facing discrimination, not just because you're black, but because you represent LGBT. And the fact that he was doing nothing more but dancing here, he did not deserve to die.
Hotel workers are still on strike in Los Angeles and Orange County. Employee Jonathan Garrett.
We've had the same wage for the last 5 years, and it's time to give us a piece of the pie.
Intense bombing in Ukraine hit a blood transfusion center and killed at least 3 people. The BBC's James Waterhouse.
Here's once again a medical building has come in harm's way. We've seen it before with a maternity hospital in the besieged city of Mariupol last year. We've seen it in a mental health hospital in Dnipro just a few months ago.
Ago today, the U.S. dropped an atomic bomb on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. An estimated 140,000 people were killed. CBS's Lucy Kraft from Tokyo.
Hiroshima's peace bell marked the moment on August 6, 1945, when the city was obliterated in the world's first atomic bomb attack. Hiroshima Mayor Kazumi Matsui said the rising threat of nuclear weapons around the world underscores, in his words, the folly of nuclear deterrence. He reiterated calls for nuclear disarmament.
Storms are a possibility in the Midwest today. The Weather Channel meteorologist Jackie Jarris has the forecast for the week.
We kick off the work week with severe weather, mostly in the interior parts of the Northeast, but getting close along the I-95 corridor. These storms are going to be riding around that heat dome, if you will.
The U.S. women's soccer team's World Cup dreams came down to penalty kicks. Fox Sports with the call, and with that, Sweden won the game and will head to the quarterfinals. The U.S. goes home. That's CBS News.
Hire with minimal effort and max speed with Indeed. Their hiring solution platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates efficiently. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or a former client? Maybe an outdated news article? Or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. But right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-831-0771 to speak to an expert. That's 800-831-0771.
WWL First News. I'm Cliff Miller. No prize if you guessed the forecast today.
Another scorching hot day for us for your Sunday. Our high temperatures will get back into the upper 90s. It's going to be humid outside with lots of sunshine. It'll probably feel like around 110 to 112 this afternoon, maybe even hotter during the afternoon hours. Make sure you stay cool, drink lots of water. Most of us will trend dry today with only a stray shower or storm possible this afternoon.
WWL TV meteorologist Alexis Frischler will be back with a local weather expert for NOPD is investigating a shooting just off the I-10 in Wardsey.
Police say a boy was shot near Crowder Boulevard after midnight. EMS took the boy to the hospital.
WWL TV Mayor James reports police say anyone with this. A woman is in custody after a shooting in the CBD outside the main branch of the public library, captured on video in broad daylight. WWL TV is coming.
The witness claims to see a man in dark clothing hit the woman. The man appears to be running from a woman who witnesses described as a female guard. He picks something up and throws it at her. The woman then draws her gun and fires back 7 shots. She then runs and fires 4 more times. shortly after the video ends.
A gas leak helped a fire destroy an abandoned home on Colorado Street in Central City. No injuries reported. Residents of Lower Clackamas Parish are boiling their
You said
water.
you wanted to come back for a couple minutes and speak about something before we went to
Yeah,
What do you
yeah.
want to talk about?
The Ricky Williams story about how he signed a 7-year. I just leading in on Alvin Kamara.
This WWL Sports Update is brought to you by People's Health. Now that the NFL has handed down a 3-game suspension to Alvin Kamara, we know a few things. He'll miss the Saints games versus the Titans, Panthers, and Packers before coming back for Week 4. And WWL's Bobby Hebert expects Jamal Williams and rookie Kendra Miller to step up in Kamara's absence.
No, you run the same plays. You got to have running backs that might not be on Alvin Kamara's level. Kendra Miller, you got to be okay the same type route you run with him or Jamal Williams. No, you're doing the same thing. No, they might not be as productive or explosive as Alvin Kamara, but it's not like, oh, we got to change the whole playbook. Alvin Kamara's not here. No, they're not doing that.
Head coach Dennis Allen told the media that the news of Kamara's suspension link won't change what they're doing now in training camp, but they'll be ready to adjust to the challenge of Week 1 without their star back. Allen added that the 3-game suspension is quote-unquote a pretty good outcome for the Saints, given that Kamara will be available for 14 games this season. Unfortunately for New Orleans, their running back depth was shortened when Eno Benjamin ruptured his Achilles on day 9 of training camp. So expect a heavy dose of Williams, Miller, and of course Taysom Hill early on without Kamara. Charlie Long, WWL Sports.
Now, your Garcia Roofing forecast on WWL.
Another excessive heat warning in effect for your Sunday. Those high temperatures will get into the upper 90s near the triple digits. It'll probably feel like around 112 or higher this afternoon. So if you'll be out and about, make sure you drink plenty of water and stay cool. We'll see lots of sunshine today, a few scattered clouds. Most of us will trend dry.
What's the guy's name on the phone?
Or storm popping up if we're lucky.
Leon.
From New Orleans?
Today.
North Carolina.
Same goes actually for the work week. Our rate is a little bit lower.
Gotcha. Tell him, yeah.
There is a possibility for a couple hit-or-miss showers and storms, but it's going to be scorching hot for days to come with high temperatures every afternoon in the mid to upper 90s. From your local weather expert forecast center, I'm WWL-TV meteorologist Alexa Frischler.
Should we go?
We're about now.
From WWL, big news, talk, sports powerhouse of the Gulf South. It's All Things Legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nico. Underwritten by Nico and Sunseri Law Firm. Join us on the Oakland Heart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870, or connect anytime, anywhere on the Odyssey app. Now, to our Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union Studios in the heart of New Orleans, here are attorneys Albert Nico and Doug Sunseri.
Hey, we're back. Hour number 2. Doug Sunseri. Albert Nico is not here. And I got my wife, Michelle Demarest Sunseri, substituting for Albert, responding to my elbow in bed. No, actually, you got up early.
I got up earlier than you.
And a lot earlier. And All Things Legal, we're on until 10 o'clock. We're off next week. We'll be back the following week, and the next week after that, and then we'll be off, and then we'll be back that week, and then we'll be off for about 4 or 5 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We get to sleep late on Sundays. And, before we get to Leon, we got a text about the Ricky Williams and talking about Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is in his 7th year. And the shelf life of most running backs are about 7 or 8 years. And unless Alvin Kamara takes a big pay cut, I don't think he'll be back with the Saints next year. That's the only scenario I see that happening. What's interesting about the lifespan of an NFL player, back when Ricky Williams was drafted by the Saints, a very interesting story. His agent was Master P's, had just opened up an agency. And I think that the agent was a guy named Leland Hardy, who had no football experience. I think he was maybe got an MBA at an Ivy League school, if I remember, but he was working for Master P. And the Saints wanted to sign Ricky Williams to a 6-year contract because they figured if they got him a 6-year, we'd have him for 6 years, his 6 best years, and then we reevaluate because of the trajectory that the running backs start losing their skill level dips because it just seems like their shelf life's shorter. So in any good negotiation, you try to ask for 7 if you want 6. So what they did was they knew Leland. Well, they knew the agent. I won't keep naming his name. Loved to play golf. So one of the employees who were in the front office was dispatched to take the agent to play golf 7 straight days at 7 different golf courses at in New Orleans or in the area. So they played golf, and at the end of the 7th day, they said, "Look, we need 7 years in this contract," and with the understanding that if he said no, we can't do that, they would compromise at 6.
Okay.
And so they said, we need 7 years on this contract. And he said, okay. And so he reported back to the Saints and said, we got him for 7. It's just a matter of negotiating the right numbers. I think it was about, and the Saints were thrilled because they said, we have him locked up for 7. Right. And they had one dissenting voice who said, in about year 2 or 3, he's going to realize it's a bad contract. And he's going to be very upset with the Saints. He's going to be disenchanted and felt like he was taken advantage of. And he signed the 7-year deal. And guess what happened in year 2 and 3?
He was very disenchanted.
Yes. So it was just an interesting negotiation. Because I had something similar happen to me when I was in 1989 when we were doing Plan B free agency.
Right.
And we didn't know what the market was. And Jerry Jones had just bought the Cowboys. And he wanted all new players. So I had a free agent. And usually I mark up my offers about 66% higher than what I think the market value was. And so we didn't know what Plan B was. So I called Pat Pepler, who used to be GM for Bum when he was at Saints, and Hamp Cook. And I said, what do you think this guy's market was? So I got it. I marked it up by 66%. And the Cowboys, and I was young. I was 26, 27. And they said, you submit an offer, which I should have never done.
Right. You just can't bid against stuff.
So I did, and the Cowboys accepted it. And I felt like I was going to throw up. And then I had to go back and tell my 6'3", 240-pound player that I left money on the table. And I lived to tell about it. Mm-hmm. So he forgave me, I guess. I don't know. Sorry about that. But it was just interesting with the lifespan of NFL running backs and how they evaluated it, and how that one lone dissenting voice said, he was an ex-player. Mm. Don't do that, because he's going to realize it's a bad deal at some point during the contract. He's going to be disenchanted. And Ricky was traded, 3 years later. So, all right, let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to Leon. He's got a lease issue from the North Shore. That's God's country. What you got, Leon?
Hey, Doug. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I got a problem with my son. He's in a apartment complex in the phone. In Slidell. And he had a lot of stuff going wrong with the apartment. It's a lead apartment, one of the best ones. And they had a lot of electrical problems with his apartment. And they came in and they changed all his windows out, and they just smashed them all over the place, and glass all the carpet and everything. And then the second event was 2 doors down from they had a big drug bust.
How long's his lease?
His lease, he just signed a new one before the last incident happened.
How many?
Because they wouldn't have him out.
For how long?
For a year.
Okay.
About 3 months into it.
So you want?
The second event.
Okay.
Pardon?
So tell me about the second event.
The second event was the neighbor next door. They got drunk and decided to shoot off guns down at the ground there on the 3rd floor. And my niece that stays with him is upset about it. He's upset about it. And they still won't let him out of the suite. Is there anything I can do?
Well, would you? I mean, it's sort of first of all, you got to read the lease, and you got to figure out what the procedure is. There's probably some notice provisions that you have to probably give to the landlord notifying them of the issues that are pending and give them, and there's probably a corrective period. Okay.
Right.
And then you have to do this legally. You just can't leave a corrective period. And then see if it's remedied. If it's not remedied, then you would, of course, you'd have to read the lease, but you may be able to terminate the lease for cause. Okay, but you're going to have to read the lease. You're going to have to advise the landlord of the issues involved that are, is disturbing his peaceful possession would be one of them, and have, give the opportunity to the landlord to remedy if there's some other issues regarding repairs. You got to advise them of that. And if they don't take any action, there's usually a time period that they have. Yeah.
Right. But I was just going to say, it sounds like he signed the lease, a renewal after one of the
all
events.
Yeah,
so
all these events.
You're not going to be able to use the prior events because obviously they weren't bad enough to stop him from signing the lease. So it's going to have to be anything that happens subsequent to the renewal signing.
Right, I understand that, but the biggest thing was the gun discharges off the balcony down to the ground, and it was his neighbor that done it, which you don't know them, but I mean that's his big concern because he's right next door. They decide to go off again.
Well, well, I guess that would be your peaceful possession, and maybe a lack of security. I mean, that's sort of in the gray area. I mean.
Right. Well, according to the contract that he knows he's got, anybody does anything like that. I mean, they kicked out the drug people, okay, and they were supposed to kick out the people that shot off the gun that's right next door to them, but they didn't do it.
Well, I think you have a better opportunity to get out for cause if it's a continuous type of illicit activity. If it's continuous as opposed to isolated.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Y'all have a blessed day.
All right, Leon. Thanks for the call. All right. Well, I wanted to talk to you since you're here with Albert.
I'm not here for it.
No, instead of Albert.
Oh, instead of Albert.
Because Albert doesn't like to talk about family. Well, he doesn't like to talk about family law, but it's not in his wheelhouse. But there's a few things I wanted to sort of talk about. It's interesting when you hear family law. I will say, truth is stranger in fiction. Mm-hmm. You agree with that?
Yeah.
And you get a lot of calls, and people are at their worst frame of mind, and when they're in this situation. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just they're highly stressed. They're emotional, maybe not thinking straight, and so, but there's sometimes there's misconceptions. Like, first of all, if you have one spouse that acts very badly, very, very badly, that doesn't necessarily translate on a different type of community property settlement. In other words, they want to transfer the bad behavior to the community property settlement and saying they should receive some type of benefit from that.
Your statement that it doesn't necessarily makes it sound like there is an opportunity, and it does not. Absolutely does not. Your behavior has nothing to do with your property settlement.
Yes.
Louisiana's community property state, unless you've done a prenup or a postnup, or you've done some type of declaration of parapherналity where you've kept your separate.
Parapherналity? Mm-hmm. Do you think Buddy DiLiberto could pronounce that? Parapherналity. I have a hard time doing it myself.
Then it's 50-50. Doesn't matter what your behavior is. Right.
So it's basically a math problem.
It's a mathematical equation. There are some reimbursements, and that's where usually the rub becomes is reimbursements entitled that one party would be entitled to from the other.
Okay, let's talk about some issues about families, maybe blended families,
Okay.
or families when you got married later in life.
Okay.
Let's say, one spouse moves, one spouse has a house that the other spouse moves into. Okay.
Okay.
And the community starts paying on the mortgage.
Okay.
That was there prior to the marriage. How does that work?
Well, that's a reimbursement claim.
Okay, what are reimbursement claims?
Reimbursement claims are claims that in the event of a divorce, it can even be an event of a death, that it's a claim that one spouse has against the other for monies back. So, for example, if husband and wife get married and move into husband's house, and husband has a mortgage on his house, and then the community of the husband and wife then pay that mortgage, that community doesn't owe that debt. It wasn't that community's debt. So when they're paying that debt every month, the principal reduction is increasing the husband's ownership in that house. And so therefore the community is helping increase the husband's separate estate. So in the event of a divorce, let's say, then the community is entitled to a reimbursement of 1/2 of the principal reduction. So let's say, for example, the community lived in that house for 10 years and paid the mortgage for 10 years. And it was, then they're entitled to 1/2 of all the principal reduction back for that 10 years. The interest is treated like rent because the community had to live somewhere.
Right.
So the court's treated as, well, the rent is, you would have been living somewhere. So the interest is the rent.
Okay. A lot of couples that get married now have student loans.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if you went to certain schools that it might be a couple $100,000 in student loans these days. How does student loans incurred prior to marriage, or how they are addressed in connection with a community property settlement?
Same way as a mortgage. So if you get married and you bring student loans into the marriage and the community pays off those student loans, then in the event of a divorce, then the community is entitled to reimbursement back.
Now, can you make an argument that if you had student loans like to be a doctor, or that some kind of argument that the community benefited from that particular schooling?
I don't really know if you could or not.
Yeah.
No, you can argue that if they're incurred during the community and then you get divorced and they're still there and they are technically by law a community debt,
mm-hmm.
that the community shouldn't have to pay for the rest of them because the community hasn't received all the benefit of that debt. I don't know. I've never seen the other one.
That's what I was sort of getting at in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
What about if a couple buys a house together before they were married,
mm-hmm.
then they get married and they have to unwind it through a divorce? How does the house work?
Unless you've donated it to the community, you're joint owners, and so there's different reimbursement claims, and it's treated as just a joint ownership, a partition of a joint piece of property.
One thing that's interesting we're coming across a lot is non-traditional living arrangements are more and more common.
Right, they are.
And that's posing new issues in the law.
Sure.
And one of the issues is you will have a couple that doesn't get married, but they buy a house together.
Right.
And then they decide one wants to move out, or they break up. One's got to move out, and trying to reconcile on, they want their money out of the house. How does that work?
You're doing a partition. You're doing, assuming both parties' names are on it. I've seen it where, you go and, you think you're going to spend, the rest of your life with this person. You're not married, and, your credit might not be high enough. So, the the house goes, the mortgage is in his name, the house is in both of your names, or just the house is in his name, but you've put money into it. I mean, that's a quagmire. I mean, because then if it's both parties' names on the property, then you're no different than if you're two business people trying to partition a building or something. It's no different rules apply.
Because I mean, we've had numerous cases with that, and the interesting part is there's always, if you have a breakup, one of the couple, the one that stays wants to stay there as long as possible, sure. And the other one wants the house sold.
Right.
So there's this often the litigation is going to happen. You're going to have a partition.
Yeah. And for me, the litigation in a co-owned property is so different than the litigation in a community property.
Mm.
The requirements are different, and really a co-owner can't keep another co-owner out.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, I've seen some courts do it, but they're doing it not really based on the law.
Yeah, I mean, generally what happens is you have to get the property listed. If one of the co-owners doesn't cooperate, then you have to get the co-owner to cooperate, because even if it's listed, they could sometimes. We've had several cases where they sabotage the listing, and then the court would have to say, "Look, you either cooperate or we're going to, you're going to have to leave." And then even when you get to a buyer, they've had situations where they wouldn't go to closing, and then you have to get a court order to take over management of the property to sell the property. So if you ever buy a property, co-owned property with someone you're, I guess, involved with, the unwinding of it can be
very very difficult. I always say don't buy a piece of property somebody you're not married to.
There you go. That's old school now.
I know that's old school.
You're old school. Huh?
I know, but it's just easier.
You're right. All right, let's go to a break. Doug Sunseri, Michelle Demarest, Sunseri, All Things Legal. We'll be right back after this brief time out.
WWL, home of your Saints and
we got a lot of directions we can take the rest of the show. We've got text messages both about Hurricane Ida stuff and family law. So
let's see.
Flirtedly cool. WWL and Dudley DeVosier.
Let's see.
Saints fans season pass.
All right, I got a good one. I'm gonna do one. We got a relocation.
Jersey, helmet, and football.
I wear Saints jammies.
Go to WWL.com/contest and tell
when it comes to relocation, I'll send the family law one.
Yeah, the family law.
Okay. We do have a caller who is also doing hurricane law. Their name is not my name. Their name is Colin.
Colin.
COLIN. They're calling from La Paz. They're calling about a Hurricane Ida claim.
Okay.
Number one sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/Abear to join today.
Colin from La Paz.
ERT. So don't miss your chance to get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000.
No, I think it's
That's
just
up to
Colin.
$1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. When you join FanDuel today.
Oh, does he do hurricane claims?
/Abear to sign up. That's HEB.
Colin's is he a homeowner?
He's asking. I can check.
No. Okay, he's asking. Okay.
And President Louisiana. No. He's calling you guys to ask questions about it, not to give information about it.
Oh, okay.
7 days.
Yeah.
Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-777-0
Famous people from La Paz.
According to the French poet Madeleine de Suchet,
What are you
the indifferent have only one soul, but when you love, you have two. Of course, when you love, there's only one place to go for wedding jewelry, and that's Oakland Heart. But don't take Madeleine de Suchet's word for it. Listen to what Joseph said in his online review. These people care about their profession and take care of their customers. Their jewelry speaks for itself. Amazing experience all the way around. Oakland Heart is
AJ Dewey and Louis Slips.
diamond market for the most beautiful natural diamonds you'll ever
Great
see.
defensive lineman for LSU in the 70s who played for Miami.
And then we put our
Won a
master
Super Bowl with
craftsmen
the
to work,
Pittsburgh Steelers.
creating one-of-a-kind rings you'll treasure to jewel. It's true.
Sizzling. There's a great work of art in every box from Oakland Heart on Metairie Road.
New Orleans, a spectacle of sound and color, curious creatures, weird and wild. Experience the wonder of Audubon Aquarium and Audubon Insectarium. 2 new world-class attractions together in the heart of New Orleans. Get tickets at audubonwonder.com.
Glow Resources, complete employee solutions. GlowResources.com.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-514-1026. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-514-1026 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-514-1026 for your free consultation.
We're going to go old school next.
That's 800-514-1026.
Please help me, I'm falling. All things legal on WWL, AMFM.com, and the Odyssey app. Connect with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nico on the Oakland Art Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Michelle Demarest Sunseri, All Things Legal. Colin, the last time I heard that was on Hee Haw. With Buck Williams, you know, and Roy Clark. And that red, white, and blue guitar. There you go. So, I'm dating you. Colin. All right. I'll tell you what, let's go to phone lines. We've got Colin in LaPlace, who was about 2 years ago. He was in the middle of the eye of the storm. Hey, Colin, what you got for us on All Things Legal? Colin.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I'm one of the many that got damaged and insurance company went out of business. It was one of the ones that didn't go out of business for about a year, and they drug their feet paying me. And then Liga took over, and since they took over, it took 3 or 4 months for them to get the documents, and then I've just been going through one adjuster after another. They never call you back when they make a change. So it's been hard to communicate, and my contract is really in a bad spot. We got a check just before the original insurance company went out of business with no attachment saying what covering. So he was leery about spending some stuff. So anyway, I'm still in the middle of rebuilding, and
you got to file a lawsuit. You have to file a lawsuit. Yeah. If you don't, your claim goes away.
Okay, so what the documents I need to start the process?
We're actually what you just have to basically is file a lawsuit, get it in, and then you can sort of get things together after. Basically, what you need is the claim summary and the declaration page and any correspondence you got from Liga. That should be enough to get the lawsuit in. And then, once you pass the deadline, we or any attorney could amend it up to address any additional issues. But a declaration page for your policy, any claim summaries from the insurance company, any copies of checks that were submitted, and any correspondence from Louisiana Insurance Guarantee Association. That is enough for any attorney to file a lawsuit. The next part is, and then after that, you have your claim preserved. You're in St. John Parish, depending on which judge you are selected. They're going to have a mediation, a case management order where you do meet with Louisiana Insurance Guarantee Association to try to resolve your claim. Now, one thing about Louisiana Insurance Guarantee Association is different. If you have a case against a company that's in existence, you have the ability to in negotiation to talk about bad faith and attorney's fees and for not paying your claim timely. You're basically supposed to pay what's undisputed within 30 or 60 days, or they could be some certain penalties, or some people call it punitive damages. It's something like that. But with LIGA, there's no penalties and attorney's fees because they are the receiver for the bankrupt insurer. But so you don't have that enforcement mechanism, but they're going to have to deal with these claims. The best thing you can do is document. Keep all your checks to your contractor receipts. And whatever you incur, they should pay, and whatever needs to be done, they should pay. So there would be a mediation that the courts are going to order, or the judge is going to. There's one judge at St. John Parish who's doing it himself. He will have a mediation conference or a settlement conference, and there's so many claims that the judges will be telling the insurance companies to deal with it fairly. And so, but the immediate thing is to file a lawsuit. I would say probably within 3 to 6 months, you'll have a face-to-face with the insurance company with LIGA, with the ability to discuss settlement.
So, if I go through with that, we'll like a quick dealing with it, because on the phone they were very nice, and they're saying we're going to get to the bottom of it and everything.
Well, no, not necessarily.
Would that process stop?
No, you'd be dealing through the attorney, but it'll be a collaborative process. Because yeah.
You go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
You touched base a little bit about attorney fees and stuff, or is any of that recoverable?
Not against LIGA. If you're dealing with a recoverable, if you're dealing with a receiver for a bankrupt insurer, no. I mean, you're in a pickle. I mean, because I'm going to tell you, if you don't file a lawsuit, they're going to say we're not dealing with you. Now they have no legal obligation to do it. I'll put it to you that way, and I don't think they will, because Louisiana Insurance Guarantee Association. The short version is, since so many insurance companies went bankrupt, they're short on cash, and they will take any opportunity to mitigate the possible payout using the prescriptive period, or the expiration period. So you got two bad choices. One is less harmful than the other.
Yeah. It's kind of upsetting when they don't tell you the agent in charge is no longer, on your case, wasn't responding to emails or phone calls, and you go weeks and weeks and months, and the living expenses obviously ran out, about 6 months after,
I will not to give any shade to LIGA, but they're probably dealing with, the claims of 16 bankrupt insurers, and they're at the apex of that. And so I would just say, look, if worse comes to worse, if you're close, I'm sure you get an attorney to file the lawsuit to keep your claim alive, and then you sort of just take it from there and continue your negotiations. That's probably, that's an option too. Yeah.
So just one thing, if I could talk to the insurance commissioner's office, if they just made one little rule that the insurance justice just notify you by mail that I'm no longer your contact, good luck. I would, weeks and weeks of waiting and trying to contact these people. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, what they do is after a hurricane, they have to labor up, and they just get warm bodies. And a lot of them were ex-bartenders, bellhops, and who were trained in a matter of months. Yeah.
I know so.
Yeah. So
they drinks better than they represent you.
So that's sort of the just sort of the way it works, and you just have to deal with it best you can. But just get the lawsuit filed, get someone to do it. You can call us at 837-1304. We'll be glad to help you with it. And then you preserve your claim, and then you can continue the negotiations.
Okay.
All right, my man, Colin. Thanks so much. All right. Let's go to break. Doug Sunseri, Michelle Demarest, Sunseri, All Things Legal. We'll be right back after this brief time out. I'm going to ask you about IRAs and contributions before.
Do you recall our text about relocation?
Oh yeah, relocate. Yeah, let's do that. That's right. Thank you.
WWL, the News Talk Sports Powerhouse.
Always phone lines are free, so.
Okay, I'm gonna do the text on the relocation. We'll do
I
that.
traded in the sheriff's badge for the microphone so I could affect change in a different way. This is New Orleans. My goal every day is to make a head-to-head, heart-to-heart, real-time connection with the biggest stage in the Gulf South. We talk about what matters most to you, and the approach is head-on. If you think of yourself as a
I got another one too about community property.
10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
It says,
WWL and the free Odyssey.
if I have no kids, does everything go to my wife automatically? If I start a business with someone, does that business become community property?
If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago,
let's see, where's the relocation?
In the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now
going
going
to
to
be stuck with this
service
by email.
Stop the insanity today.
As
Call my
long
office
as the
now.
person's
If we
email
take
is
you to
not.
court, I guarantee we'll cancel
Some
your
attorneys
timeshare
have
or
this
you'll
email is
pay
not
nothing.
designated.
Call for your free information kit. 800-885-3333. That's 800-885-3333. 800-885-3333.
Are you ready to ditch the itch this season and take your backyard back? With J&J Exterminating, getting rid of what's bugging you is what we do every day. From mosquitoes to ants to no-see-ums, J&J will make your pests go away. J&J provides mosquito one-time treatment.
How hard is it for a mom to move out of state with the kids if dad will not allow it? What are the rules for that? There is not a custody agreement in the courts, just something worked out between the parents. It's a good question.
Mike Haas here for Keith's AC, Heating, and Electrical, the Gulf South's premier name in generator installation, service, and repair. It's hurricane-free season. Time to get prepared for the power outages to come. Keith's can install a whole house generator for as little as $145 a month. So call Keith's for details or go to Keith's.com and be ready for hurricane season.
Keith's Air Conditioning and Heating.
And now, electrical.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. In the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-885-3333. That's 800-885-3333. 800-885-3333.
You've been wanting to check out that news story that everyone's talking about, but you just can't find the time. That's why the On Deadline podcast is here. We pull together interviews from Odyssey's radio newsrooms across the country and add important context so you can really get the news fast. From wildfires and catastrophes at sea to new laws and presidential candidates, we'll have coast-to-coast coverage for you all in one place. Subscribe to On Deadline on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcasts.
Now, more All Things Legal, underwritten by Nico and Sunseri Law Firm. All advice given and opinion shared are solely those of attorneys Albert Nico and Doug Sunseri. Back to WWL.
All right, we're back. Remember, we're not going to be on next week on All Things Legal. We're going to have pregame coverage to the Saints-Chiefs first preseason game, and today, a special Sunday Saints training camp edition of Sports Talk with Mike Haas and Jeff Nowak. Dip into the sound bank with your brand new audio from all you black and gold favorites. We'll recap the first week of training camp and get you ready for the first preseason game against the Chiefs next Sunday. Hang with Haas and Jeff from 3 to 6 this evening on WWL, AMFM.com, and Odyssey. Now, we hung with Mike. He's fun to hang with.
He is.
So y'all hang out with Mike this week, 3 to 6 this afternoon. All right, we have a text for you, for our family law guru.
Okay.
That's you. How hard is it for a mom to move out of state with her kids if a dad will not allow it? What are the rules for that? There is not a custody agreement in the courts. It's just something worked out between the parties.
That's an interesting question.
Yes.
Well, if you move, the rules are you have to give a notice to the other parent, certified mail, and it's a notice that states when you intend to leave, where you intend to go, your address, the reason you're going, what type of visitation you can ensure will happen. And you serve that or you send that to them and they have 30 days to object. And if they object, then you have to get court approval. That's the law. And then there's a relocation hearing. And you can seek to leave on a temporary basis until you have a full-blown relocation hearing. But moving on a temporary basis, you still have to have a hearing, but it's just a shortened hearing. If you don't have a custody judgment and you just moved, I would assume that that parent could then come into court and get you back into the state, alleging you had taken the kids and the kids the other state doesn't have jurisdiction, so you couldn't file for a custody matter in that new state in which you have moved. Now, if you move and then you're there 6 months and that other state has a home, it says 6 months, I'm assuming under the UCJJA that you could then file for custody over there. It's kind of a weird, because you have to get court approval.
Right. Now, a lot of times if someone's in that situation and they get a whiff that one parent's going to move with the kids, they'll file something right away.
They file something right away, yeah.
Yeah, prohibiting the relocation.
Or like I have one going right now, we sent the notice and the notice, we got an email objecting. So then we filed the motion to set a hearing for the relocation.
Okay, we got a couple of minutes. What are some of the factors the court looks as to whether you should where they would agree to the relocation or not?
They're looking at like, what is the reason you're going? Is it for economic? Are you going because you have an economic advantage? They're looking at what type of connection the child has to this state. They're looking at what type of connections you have to the state that you're going to, like who will be there. They're also looking at what is the possibility of the other parent moving there. They're looking at how are you doing it in good faith? Are you doing it to better yourself and better your child's situation? Or are you doing it to get away from the other parent? There's always the best interest. They're always looking at that too. I'm trying to think of some of the other big ones. They're called relocation factors. They're taking a look at who has the better history of fostering the relationship between the parent and the child. So there's just a myriad of factors that they'll look at.
So if you're in that situation, it's probably a good idea quickly to get consult an attorney.
Yeah. Yes.
Because you want to stop it before it starts or it happens. Because
if you are the party who's wanting to stop it, yeah, you want to consult an attorney.
Because it's a lot more complicated after they move than before.
Kind of. I don't know. I would think it'd be easy. I think it's. I've had them come back if it's not within the time period where the other state has jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think it's always easier to do it by the books and have a court. That way, if you're leaving, you can go in good faith. You know that you can go. I mean, because last thing you want to do is move, put a kid in school, sign a lease, or buy a house, and then you have to come back.
Right.
Or stay there and the kid comes back.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go. Oh, I got one text before we go to break.
Right.
It's Buck Owens, not Buck Williams. I said, you know what? You know why I said Buck Williams on Hee Haw? Buck Williams was a forward for the Portland Trailblazers. 6'9" forward.
And I wouldn't have been known.
And I said Buck Williams, but it was Buck Owens with the red, white, and blue guitar. So I apologize
For his.
For another malaprop, which happens about 3 times a show.
I don't think that's a malaprop.
Malaprop? That's just forgetfulness.
That's just the wrong name. A malaprop is like using a phrase in the wrong way or saying a phrase.
Like unpronouncing a word. All right, let's go to a break. Doug Sunseri, Michelle Demarest Sunseri, all things legal. We'll take our final break. We'll be right back after this brief timeout. Who's that? That's a good one, Colin.
Yeah, it's Uncle Cracker.
They have another one. Florida Georgia line. Is that one? Florida Georgia state line.
Breaking news. The Saints and LSU on WWL is powered by BetQL. Smarter bets start with BetQL. The BetQL.
Got it.
Or visit BetQL.com today.
WWL
is proudly sponsored by Dudley DeBosier, official injury lawyers of the New Orleans Saints. Call 504-444-4444. Attorney spokesman Chad Dudley, New Orleans.
Think Steve's doing it?
Guys, got hair loss? I know what you're thinking. Should I shave my head, comb it over, wear a hat?
Cool off from last night.
This isn't 1970. Keep your hair and your confidence, because Bosley, America's #1 hair restoration expert, can give you your real hair back permanently. Check them out today, because they're giving away an absolutely free information kit and a free gift card to anyone that texts COOL to 200-300. Dude, you don't have to look like your dad, because this isn't your dad's hair loss treatment. People all over the country trust Bosley, because they're ahead of the curve. They use the latest technology to give you your real hair back. And the best part, Bosley's permanent solution is protected by the Bosley Guarantee. Let Bosley.
Colin, how long are we going to have?
Your hair could look.
We'll have a lot of time to work.
Okay, so we got like
4 or 5 minutes.
4 or 5 minutes. Okay.
Cool to 200-300. That's cool to 200-300.
Hey, it's Tommy Tucker for APS, Alarm Protection Services. Are you ready to get away on vacation? Well, with APS's smart security services, you can relax and enjoy your time away, knowing your home is protected. Keep an eye on your home and manage your home's lights, temperature, and alarm settings using automated schedules or from your phone on APS's smartphone app. APS, keeping you safe while you're away. Visit securitybyaps.com or call 504-455-5277.
Serving up po' boy since 1911. Parkway Bakery and Tavern is New Orleans culture you can beat. Whether it's our sloppy roast beef or fresh fried Louisiana seafood, our team is here to fulfill all your po' boy needs. Dine in or order online at parkwaypo'boys.com. Tell them Justin sent you. Spencer Callahan is the one.
Parkway.
Call 475-2334. Offices in Baton Rouge. Call 475-2333. Monthly subscriptions now available. RejuveMeMedical.com.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy.
I'm back in about 20 seconds.
For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces.
Since we're at the end of the program, we won't do a rejoin. We'll just come back with the music. You can take it.
Okay. Worth over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today.
4 minutes.
More at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Michelle Demarest, Sunseri, All Things Legal. Michelle put in the request for good country music, and Colin is complying like he does every week.
He has, yes.
He does such a bang-up job, man. Here, Colin, I gotta get you a raise. I'm gonna call and get you a raise. So, do a good job. Thanks, Colin. Let's see, a couple of things. First of all, we're not on next week, so if you turn on the station, you'll probably get the first take leading up to the Saints Kansas City game, but we'll be on August 20th. Also, if you have an unresolved hurricane claim, you can call us at 504-837-1304, 504-837-1304. And, even if you just need insurance, a lawsuit just to file it, just to keep it alive, pending further negotiation, that's, we can probably accommodate that.
Sure.
Also, 100 degrees for the next 4 days.
I know, like no rain in sight.
I know. I was watching my old Lakeshore Playgrounds playing in the minor league regionals. I don't know if they're going to make it to the big show, but I was thinking, I've never played in 100-degree weather. I don't think. I could not,
It's, growing up, it seemed like it rained every day.
Right. When it rains a lot, it doesn't get like that. We just seem to be.
And I don't know if the South Shore is having the drought we're having, but I mean, it is bad here.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's not a lot you can do.
No, we have sprinklers going 3 times a day.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing you can really do is swim and stay in the air conditioning. Not much. I mean, even you like to run. You can't even run in the morning. You have to run inside.
Yeah.
But all right, and we got the Saints coming up. LSU is 28 days away.
And how many hours?
Actually, 28 days and 8 hours. I think they got about a 5 o'clock kickoff. But this year sort of has the same feel as 2019.
Really?
Yeah. I remember our friend Renee Nadeau in the spring practice in 2018. He tells me he's in the media, former ESPN color announcer, and he had said, he's from New Orleans. He said they got something going here in the spring of 2018. He said that something's happening.
Yeah, but when we went to that opening game, were we in Dallas?
That was the year before. That was when we went to Miami. That was Joe Burrow without a spring training. We went to Miami, and that was the year they were 9-3, and they were on the cusp. But he said, man, there's something happening. They sort of had like a feeling. And I remember I said in September, Joe Burrow in 19 would be in the conversation for the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, you did.
Which I got a few texts. Snide text, call me a homer, but which I am. I'm a complete homer. But so I have that sort of feeling about a quarterback and Jaden Daniel, and I still have sort of the same feeling about this year, that they have that possible magic that happened before, except we have one big obstacle in the East. It's called Georgia. But actually we're going to go to the Alabama game in Tuscaloosa. And when we went 4 years ago, it was good luck.
It was good luck. When we went 5 years ago, it was painful.
Oh, 6 years ago, that was painful. I think that was Les Miles was last year.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but all right. So we'll see you in 2 weeks in All Things Legal. Thank you, Michelle, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You can call us at 504-837-1304 or on the North Shore 985-624-9697. Y'all have a wonderful week. Stay cool, and we'll see you in 2 weeks in All Things Legal.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colin. Awesome job.
Thank you.
We'll see.
I'll see you in 2 weeks. We can
Yes.
talk all preseason about how the Saints have been doing.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. It's not closed.
All right, I can wrap all this up because we're not going to be on. Yeah, I think it would be good to go to Walmart earlier than later because Sam's Walmart. We got to get fruit, right? think we need some other stuff.
Any paper products?
I think okay. I'll check the
We're gonna go.
Create an amazing website with Fiverr. You'll need your web domain, UX writer, and name. A Fiverr freelance graphic designer with dozens of 5-star reviews will join your team from her favorite coffee shop. Don't forget to tip. Expand your team with a Fiverr freelancer.
Hello, welcome to T-Town. Like minimum 40.